Steve Elliott, Innocence was lost. Innocence was lost. Steve Elliott.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Tonight, I'm going to take us back to a time when innocence was lost. A time when a nation was shaken and optimism seemed very, very low. Who here has been through the 80s, lived in the 80s, or remembers that decade? Show of hands. Oh, excellent. So for a lot of you, this is just going to be a walk down memory lane and perhaps refresh some memories. For those that weren't part of the 80s generation, this will bring some focus to an event that took place and I think still reverberates to this very day. So let's go back to 1985. The space program is in a bit of a lull right now, and so NASA decides that they are going to create a teacher in space program, which is going to send a civilian for the first time up to space. 10,000 teachers apply, and one is selected from the Midwest, a 37-year-old teacher by the name of Christina McCullough. She is chosen to go up into the Space Shuttle Challenger. So now we come to the Challenger's date of launch, which is January 28th, 1986. Now, because a teacher is going to be on board, NASA is deciding they're going to broadcast this to school children across the country. Now, for those that didn't live in the 80s, I'm going to give you a bit of a shock. There was only one news channel in 1986, and that was CNN. This was the only news channel, or this was the only major American network to broadcast the shuttle launch live. So here we are. It's a beautiful day at Kennedy Space Station, or Center. Sun is shining, crisp and clear in the air. The shuttle launches off at approximately 11:36. 73 seconds into launch, tragedy strikes. The shuttle blows up. Now that brings us to our leader, who is going to have to bring some sense of context of this tragic event into focus, and also restore optimism to his very shaken public. Ronald Reagan is about to deliver a State of the Union address that night that now has to be canceled, and he is now going to do a televised speech to the American public around this tragic event. I'm going to share some snippets with you from the speech and highlight a few things that I really liked about the way President Reagan was able to set context and also restore optimism to his public. We've grown used to the wonders in this century. It's hard to dazzle us. But for 25 years, the United States space program has been doing just that. We've grown used to the idea of space and perhaps forget that we've only just begun. We're still pioneers. They, the members of the Challenger crew, were pioneers. And I want to say something to the school children of America who are watching the live coverage of the shuttle's takeoff. I know it's hard to understand, but sometimes painful things like this happen. It's all part of the process of exploration and discovery. It's all part of taking a chance and expanding man's horizons. The future doesn't belong to the faint-hearted. It belongs to the brave. The Challenger crew is pulling us into the future, and we will continue to follow them. If you want to see the whole 5-minute speech, I suggest you go onto YouTube and Google Challenger speech. A couple of things I'd like to highlight in that speech. One is very, very strong use of, or good use of words, in that President Reagan chose pioneer, which I think really kind of in your mind, you're brought back to that frontierism, and he really level sets that, yes, we are only early in the space process. So he's taken an old West word and he's applied it to cutting edge technology, and I think the marriage is really strong in establishing that they are still pioneers, they are still learning about space. The other thing that I really liked about this speech was that he set context by couching the speech in a direction of the school children, but when you really reflect on the words that I recited, he's really speaking to the entire population, adults as well as kids. But he's giving it in a nice way so that children will also understand the tragedy and the senselessness of that particular event. And finally, he establishes optimism with that last very strong sentence about how the Challenger folks are pulling the American public into space. And by that one sentence, he has sent a very clear message to the American public that, one, the space program is going to continue, two, the crew will not be forgotten, and that they were trailblazers. And I think when we reflect on that speech, we can really be thankful that President Reagan was in charge of the U.S., because I think he was a great communicator, as the speech is illustrated, the right leader for the right time. And I thank you for your time.